let's talk about sealers. All right, so when you're working on wood projects, particularly painting and things like that, in the end, you almost always want to cover your painting with a sealer. Now, lots of times I don't do that on my Facebook Lives because the paint is still not cured and I'm not going to put a sealer on the paint until it's ready. So make sure your paint is really dry, like a few days to a week at least, before you decide to do any of this. So the fastest and easiest way, now this is an old version and this is the this is the stinky need ventilation version, is a spray sealer. And you can pick them up at Home Depot. You can pick them up at Michael's, Hobby Lobby, craft stores, places like that. And you can get a can of spray-on Minwax probably for you guys in the section where you buy the sealers. And you can use this. Make sure it says non-yellowing. Make sure it's water-based so it's not really super stinky. And you can just spray coat your project, okay? The first coat especially, because then you're not actually touching the paint and you won't risk reactivating it with water. So you can spray it and you're good to go, and then come back in a little while, wherever it says on the label, spray it again, and you can get a couple of different sheens, probably satin and glossy. Matte is super flat, flat looking, no shine. Satin is a bit of a shine. You probably recognize it from the walls on your house. And then glossy is more like the baseboard, super shiny. So you decide which project sheen it needs. So buy this if you want to use spray sealer. I don't love spraying, especially because I'm in Canada, so we're in the house a lot more. We're here like 9 months of the year. I'm crafting indoors, so I don't love spray. So I've learned to work with other things, but that is a great start. Now, what I like the most is brush-on sealer. In Canada, I like this Varathane Crystal Clear diamond wood finish is probably my all-time favorite. Okay, it comes in a couple different sheens. It does not come in matte. All right, it does. I think satin's probably the least sheen you can get. In the US, you're probably going to find it as Minwax, and again, you want non-yellowing, water-based polyacrylic. That's basically what this is. It says outdoor, but see, there's no little skull and crossbones on it, meaning it's water-based, no odors, nothing to worry about. So easier to work with. I need that working in the house. And I mean, it's just easier. And I like that my things are water-based and non-toxic, right? I would prefer to work with those things. So I use this. And there's a couple other ones. If I can get the Minwax, I get it. But right now, this is what I have. So Home Depot, you're going to find a whole bunch of sealers. Make sure it doesn't have a little skull and crossbones on it. Then you won't have all the smells. And look for water-based, non-yellowing sealer, right? Polyacrylic sealer typically is what it's called. So in the US, Minwax makes it. Um, Now, there are other ways. This, although it says it's sealer, I don't love it. Okay. Now, the reason is it's glue. Okay. There's just no question about it. It says it's sealer, but it also says it is glue, waterproof sealer, glue, and finish for all surfaces. I don't buy it, guys. I mean, if you work hard on a project and you want to finish it properly, don't use this. Okay, this is not your friend because it will yellow. It will you can probably see it on here. It will yellow, it's just not the best use. So it's good in a pinch, but not for something you've worked really hard on. Okay. Uh, Lots of times if you work on wood signs and things like that, you'll want wax. Now this is the folk art. This was available at Walmart. It might be in the craft stores. This is a very liquidy kind of wax. So I don't know if you can see that. It's very liquidy, right? So I don't love it that much, but it's okay. It works in a pinch for the odd project. There's the extra hair for you. And so I have some of this and I keep it around and it lasts and lasts. It's great. So if you got this, use this, right? I've also picked up, again, this is a bit stinkier, but this is, I don't know if anybody remembers the waxing the floors when they were kids. This is that kind of stuff, all right? So this is, it's more solid. This is also a bit stinkier. I have not yet found paste wax that's not stinky. Okay, so you just have to take it or leave it for what you want, right? And I always use I take one brush and keep it just for waxing. You don't want a brush that has paint in it. See how hard this is now? Um, so I use it just for my wax projects. When I dip it in that wax, it'll soften up again. but just keep one brush and eventually it gets too hard, you just toss it away. Just mark it for wax, right? And that way you won't have to worry because you don't want your wax and your paintbrushes contaminated crossing over to each other, right? You get wax into paint and it's a mess, right? You want to wax over paint when you're done. Not my favorite thing. I don't use wax very often. It's more of a furniture thing. And my thinking was, and still is, they invented polyacrylic for a reason because wax was a bit of a pain, right? But if you want to be a traditionalist about it, you certainly can get these. Now, this I picked up at Home Depot. It's bare and it was in our craft section with their chalk paint, okay? And they had brushes. This I also picked up at Home Depot and it was in the paint section, finishing wax. I don't remember where, in the paint section somewhere. Home Depot again. Like I said, my favorite craft store. And last but not least, I love this stuff, shellac. Okay, now you can get it in yellow. It comes in cans too, but I like white shellac because it dries clear. It doesn't have any of the yellow orangey look that you'll get in shellac. My husband picked this up at one of the stores, sealing all types of woodwork and porous surfaces like floors, furniture, plaster, and putty. This stuff is great. Dries super shiny, not a bad thing. It depends on your project, depends on what you're doing, but it seals like crazy. Now it is stinky, right? And you do want to dedicate one or two brushes to this alone. And I will do a little episode on just dealing with shellac at some point, right? And you'll probably find it in this playlist when I get it done. So it's perfect for if you're painting wood and you have the little knots. You want to seal that knot because the sap in that knot will eventually start to leak through the paint that you painted over it. It might take a year or two, but you will start to see it after that time. It's just how wood works. So it's really great for that. This is actually the base for all of the kills and the bins and any of the sealers that you buy to seal when you're painting something and something is not working, they sell you the kills. This is the base for kills, shellac, right? So just go right to the source and get the shellac. It's easier to manage. It dries clear. If you don't buy the orange stuff, there's two kinds, clear or white as they call it, or the regular orange looking that you'd probably recognize too. Comes in cans most of the time, but hey, if you can get these, even better, because I'll tell you with the cans, they eventually start to corrode inside and rust. So this, you're never going to have that problem. As soon as it starts to rust inside, when you pop that lid off, the rust drops down into your shellac, and then it's ruined because it's filled with rust color. All right. So all these things are great for sealing, except for this. Right. Each one has its individual uses, and now you'll know when in a video when I say let's use the shellac or let's use the wax or let's use the sealer, the polyacrylic, or let's not use the glue. Now you'll know why.